A spring is a place where water naturally flows out of the ground. A spring is formed when the pressure in an aquifer causes some of the water to flow out at the surface. This usually happens at low elevations, along hillsides, or at the bottom of slopes. Some springs are just tiny trickles of water seeping from the ground, while others are large enough that they create rivers or lakes. There are 5 types of springs named for how they flow: gravity springs, artesian springs, seepage springs, tubular springs, and fissure springs. Florida in itself has 33 different springs, and all have their own unique history. Rainbow Springs, with 1,459.07 acres of land and water to its name, is the 4th largest spring in Florida and a national natural landmark. The spring's pool itself is 200 feet wide and provides 600 million U.S. gallons of fresh water per day. This ecosystem in itself provides for 11 distinct natural communities, including sandhills, flatwoods, upland mixed forest, and hydric hammocks. While the visitors to the springs may be new, the spring is not, with its use dating back to nearly 10,000 years ago. Originally known as the Blue Springs, the name was changed in 1930s when developers decided Rainbow Springs was a more attractive name. From then on, the springs we love would become a nature attraction for all. Unlike Silver Springs, developers in Rainbow decided to pass on the classic glass-bottom boats and instead took a different boat attraction. The submarine boats, where a passenger was seated below the waterline and could look in on various aquatic life that inhabits this bountiful spring, was what Rainbow chose. With the success of the boats, soon a lodge and gift shop had made their home in the Rainbow Springs Park. In 1967, Walter Beacon took up the task of turning this park into the major attraction Florida is known to have. With the additions in 1968 of the animal shows in Avery, a paddle wheel riverboat, newly air-conditioned submarine boats, a rodeo demonstration ring, and a monorail that went through the upper reaches of the Avery, he was certainly on the right track to making Rainbow one of the greats. Sadly, he had to sell the park. After that, Rainbow became closed to the public. In 1973, to be exact, it was closed. It was through complaints from local citizens with the spring's preservation at heart that the state of Florida was pushed to buy the park back in 1990. Keeping up their proactive role in the park's renovations, the locals created the Friends of Rainbow Springs State Park Incorporation, and volunteering so that the park would be reopened on weekends again in 1992. Repeating with efforts to fully open the park, it wasn't until 1995 that Rainbow could be open for daily operation, and it was opened with a few absences. The boats and monorail had been removed, but don't worry, Rainbow Springs is a thriving spot for Floridian tourists even today. Some of the most powerful springs in the world lie in the Sunshine State, and Silver Springs is one of them. Due to the enormous amount of rainfall Florida sees every year, with 1,360 millimeters per year, it is no wonder that this spring has enough water to sustain the everyday needs of 16 to 17 million average inhabitants of Earth. These transparent waters hold many secrets, such as the remains of canoes the Indians used to ride along her waters, or the 1,000-year-old mastodon bones found in its 12 meters of depth. The excitement and tourism of this particular springs started with a name, Silver Springs Nature Theme Park. Silver Springs is one of the most popular springs in Florida. With its elusive monkeys and boating rentals, there is always someone wishing to visit this amazing park.